So every business out there eventually needs a CRM, a customer relationship management system. That part's not really up for debate. But the real question, the one we're diving into, isn't if you need one, it's how you're going to set it up. Are you going to build your own digital headquarters from scratch, or are you going to rent a flexible, ready-to-go spot in the cloud? That's the choice we're breaking down today. Okay, let's rewind the clock a bit. Back to the 90s, the very first CRMs they were revolutionary, but they had a major catch. The whole process was, as our source material says, cumbersome, expensive, and difficult to effectively manage. This wasn't just some software you installed. It was a massive in-house project. Think of it like a technological fortress that only the biggest companies with the absolute deepest pockets could even dream of building and maintaining.
So, what broke the dam? How did we get from that super exclusive, complex world to the pretty amazing and flexible options we have today? What was the spark that changed everything?
Well, it all starts right here, with that original model, the on-premise era. On-premise meant exactly what it sounds like. The software was physically installed on your company's very own servers, right there in the building. And this was a monumental commitment. We're talking huge upfront costs, sometimes running into the millions. Getting it set up could take months or even years, and you needed a whole dedicated IT team just to keep the lights on. For most businesses, the barrier to entry was just way too high. And then, of course, the internet showed up and just completely rewrote all the rules. This led to a whole new, much more accessible way of doing things. The first big leap forward came with something called ECRM. And the key innovation here, the absolute game changer, it was web-based. All of a sudden, your data wasn't locked away in a server room down the hall. Nope. It could be accessed from anywhere, bringing your customers, your sales teams, and your partners all together in one central online spot. This was really the first big step toward a more flexible, connected system. And that idea quickly evolved into what we all know today as hosted or cloud-based CRM. This is the model that truly democratized the technology for everyone. You can just forget about that massive upfront purchase. Now it was just a simple monthly subscription. No software to download, no servers to maintain. You just log in online. This software as a service approach just blew the doors wide open for businesses of all sizes. You know, the easiest way to get your head around the difference between these two models is to think about real estate. It really is like deciding whether you want to own a house or rent an apartment. So let's do that. Let's put these two models right up against each other and see how they stack up. Okay, so the on-premise model is like owning your own house. You have total, complete control. You can knock down walls, you can repaint everything, build an extension, you can customize it to be exactly what you need. But you're also on the hook for everything. The mortgage, the leaky roof, the furnace that breaks in the middle of winter, all the costs and all the maintenance falls on you. Now, hosted CRM, on the other hand, is like renting an apartment. The cost to get in is way lower, and if something breaks, the landlord, or in this case the software company, they take care of it. It's super convenient, but you can't just decide you want to remodel the kitchen on a whim. Your options for customization are a bit more limited. This table really breaks down those core differences. Look at the cost. You're choosing between a huge upfront investment versus a low, predictable monthly fee. Implementation time? We're talking the difference between years and maybe just a few months. And here's a really big one, data control. With an on-premise system, your data is your data, period. With a hosted solution, you're essentially handing over control of your client data to a third party. So it really boils down to this fundamental trade-off, convenience versus control. All right, so you see the trade-offs now. With all this in mind, how in the world do you choose the right path for your business? Now, let's get one thing crystal clear, because this is a super important distinction. The type of CRM you need, whether it's for sales operations, data analytics, whatever, that's a totally separate decision from how it's implemented. You can get an analytical CRM that's hosted in the cloud or one that's sitting on your own server. The function is one choice, the delivery model is another. It's so important not to get those two mixed up. So ultimately, your decision is going to come down to asking yourself a few key questions. What's your budget really look like? How fast do you need to get up and running? How much custom work do you truly need? Do you have the in-house IT muscle to manage a whole system? And maybe the biggest question of all, how comfortable are you with a third party holding on to your most valuable asset, your customer data? The answers to those questions are going to point you in the right direction. In the end, there is no single best answer here. There's only what's best for your business. The modern hosted model has made CRM accessible to basically everyone, which is fantastic. But that on-premise path, it still offers a level of control that some companies just can't or won't live without. So the question isn't just about software. It's really about your strategy. It's your data, your budget, and your rules. So which path will you choose?